that she had to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's all about having goals
Mhm.
and making sure you know what your non-negotiables are.
Absolutely.
Meaning not gonna allow anything to stand in your way because you know what your big why is and what your goal is. She did, and she, very tenacious gal, very tenacious. And she's going to family reunion, and this is her second year. And she's going to family reunion, she's going to.
Yeah, awesome.
So you wanna make sure you surround yourself with people like that,
Yeah,
like this, right here.
yeah. And open house is a great way to get the now business,
Yeah.
right? It's a way for you to get the leads. And so my goal today is to hopefully be able to teach you guys from the mistakes that I've made in my career of doing open houses. Okay, so we'll get kind of right into it here. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Brian. Brian Jang. Hi, I'm Brian. And this is a little bit about me. This is my family, my wife, my little girl, and I got 3 little boys, twin boys, Ezra and Levi, who are gonna be 6 in a couple weeks. My youngest son, who's gonna be 5 in July, so he's 4. And then my last one was my little girl, and that's Mary, and she actually is around here somewhere. So a little bit about me. I've been licensed for 10 years. Some of my passions that I'm passionate about Jesus, I'm passionate about my family, and I'm passionate about real estate and helping buyers and sellers build wealth through real estate, and also being able to give some knowledge that I've earned in my 10 years of being in this business. I've been doing youth ministry for 13 years, so every Wednesday for the past like 17 years actually, because I was part of the youth ministry and I graduated out. So I'm passionate about young people and pointing to them, and having them obviously have a life that is fulfilling and purposeful as well. Lover of coffee, whiskey, and cigars. At this class, you get something good from this class. Those are the gifts that you guys should get me.
I love it.
Any member of the AOC here at the office. I'm so excited to be able to serve this office in this capacity as well. And then 60% of my business was built through open houses. So right now, if I look at my current pipeline, I got 4 listings, 5 listings signed, 4 listings on the market. 6 listings signed so far this year in January. 5 of them were all from open houses. We got 5 buyers locked in, and that came from open houses that I've done in January. Would you guys agree that there's value in doing open houses? Absolutely. So my goal today again is to teach you guys and have you not make the same mistakes that I've made, so that you get to the place that you want to get to quicker and faster. Cool.
Quicker
All right.
and fast.
Quicker and faster. Love it. All right. So we'll kind of start with this. Mistake number 1. Going into the business, I was 21 years old and I got licensed. So I was just a young buck, just learning how to navigate this business. I had my mentor, which is my business partners now, John and Tomas. And it kind of felt like I was really thankful for their mentorship. And a lot of it was like, hey, get out there, start doing these things. So I just started getting out there and started doing open houses. My biggest mistake was I had the wrong mindset. And what I mean by that is I was an immigrant, came to the United States when I was 7 years old. My parents were divorced, came from kind of a rough childhood. Like my parents were working from 9 to 10, and I just kind of ended up trying to figure things out. So my mindset going into this business, a lot of it was that I can't have big success in this business. That my ceiling was where my parents might have, right? And then when I got into the business, I started doing some deals, and I got really complacent with the level of income that I was making, or the level of wealth that I was building. I purchased my first house in 2016, and I was like, I'm doing it, right? But I was closing maybe 6-7 deals a year, and I got real complacent with that. So if there's one thing that you guys, if I can impart today, is know that you are able to have big success. It's just you putting the work in to get there. Okay, I also didn't know what my big why was. That shifted for me when I started when I found out that my wife was pregnant with twins. And I was like, oh dang, we're jumping right into this.
That was a real.
So I was like, okay, I gotta start producing more because I knew I need to provide for my family. Now it's just not my wife and I, and my wife couldn't work anymore because she was going to school. And it was like, okay, I need to really put this on a fast track here. So I went from doing 1 open house a week to doing 2 open houses a week. And what's wild is just by doing that little extra effort, I still had like a lot of things wrong and made a lot of mistakes in those open houses. But by just showing up 2 times compared to 1 time, I was able to increase my business by like 34%, which still isn't much when you're only closing 7 or 8. But still, I was able to, just by showing up, I was able to increase my business. I didn't have a growth mindset. Again, was part of that complacency that I was in. And didn't know what my time was really worth, right? So the time that I spent doing open houses Saturday and Sunday, I would do them pretty religiously. Yet, because I didn't realize what my time was worth, that when I'm saying yes to this open house, what I'm saying is I'm saying no to something else, right? In this case, it was kind of my family. So as I kind of grew as a person, as a human, I started to understand that my time is valuable. And that if I'm gonna pour into something, right, like an open house or lead generating or door knocking, that I'm gonna give it my all because I wanna squeeze every little bit of it. Because again, this is things that are taking away my time from my family. You guys tracking with me? Cool. So mindset is a big thing. This is a couple bullet points. You see it here on the wall here. That's been really powerful for me is your business grows to the extent that you do. Your business grows to the extent that you do. So the more you seek out growth, the more that you seek out knowledge, the more that you seek out to become a better person and to grow, your business will grow along with that. That's just a byproduct of that. Michelle.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I already received 2 texts.
Okay.
I want you to back up just for a moment.
Okay.
Tell them who you are,
Okay.
how many transactions you've had this year, and just tell me that whole little bit again.
Just in the month of January.
Right. just-
Okay, yeah,
No
yeah,
pressure.
so, I'm sorry.
No pressure.
No pressure, yeah, no, that's okay. So, in the month of January, we closed, our team has closed about 6 deals. My director of ops is saying 6 deals. And then from those 6 deals, 3 of them has been open house deals. Yeah. Cool, and I'm Brian, with Eternity Realty,
How many
which is a
listings
team
did you
here.
sign from open houses?
What's that?
How many listings did you sign from?
Oh, I kind of went over that earlier.
Yeah, that's what they want to hear.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, so I signed in the month of January, 6 listings total, 5 of them came from open house tours. Yeah. So it was an open house lead on Tamworth that I met back in 2019. I helped them purchase the property and now they're turning around selling and they're gonna turn around and buy. Okay, the Anfield was a listing that I met at an open house about 3-4 months ago. And just continued to check in with them and provide value and was able to lock that up.
Was that one off Oswald?
Off of Oswald. Yep, 7 Oswald. I had another open house listing that came, let's see, I'm losing track of my listings right now. Oh, I'm sorry, I have that I just signed that I'm putting up this week, that I met at an open house, the 2nd week of January. So there's a lot of value in just showing up, and just asking the right questions and, not making the same mistakes that I've made.
We're not allowed to talk about commissions, but let's talk about apples. How many apples did you list those listings?
I take my
Huge.
listings at 6%.
6 apples.
6
All
apples.
right, we're not allowed to talk about commissions, sorry.
And again, that comes down to what the time is for, right? By me taking on this listing, I'm investing my time, which is the most important thing to me. I'm investing my funds, I'm investing my energy to help you sell this home. So once you recognize, yes, my time, because if I say again, I want to stress this because it's so important, when you're saying yes to a business, to a client, to an open house, you're saying no to something else. So it is absolutely important that you come in with the right mindset and say, this opportunity that I'm having this weekend, I'm gonna make the most.
Okay, I want you to say that loud and proud about how many apples again, so people understand what we're talking about.
6 apples,
6 apples.
6 apples.
Okay, if I would,
agree,
What's that?
I agree.
baby, that's called green.
Red.
That could turn into green, all right? So
It
I
can be
can,
orange.
yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely, know what your time is worth. Absolutely know what your time is worth. And guess what, when you're going in there in the open house and you squeeze every little bit out of it, that you know that you did. Then when you leave the open house and you're spending time with your family, with your kids, or with whatever you wanna do, you know that the work has been done. Right? It's not like, man, I didn't do it correctly, or I didn't give it all I have, right? I've been doing open houses for 10 years, I've been licensed for over 10 years. That was like my main form of lead generation. I could have, there was no regrets, because obviously it was all part of the learning process for me, right? That's my timing. And I know that I could have probably got to where I am right now a lot quicker if I had the urgency or if I knew how to do it correctly. And that's why this teaching or this class is called 5 Mistakes I Made, so that you don't have to, right? All right, so a lot of it is not gonna be anything that's like crazy. First is open house signs, okay? When I first started doing these open houses, I absolutely hated putting these darn signs out. Are you guys, anybody like me? No, just me? Okay, cool. I'll cue you guys, awesome. I hated putting signs out, it was just like it was like a hassle, I would get sweaty, especially on those hot summer days. And then I would just do just enough to make it work, right? Just enough to say, okay, this is enough to get people to my open house, right? And the mindset, of course, comes in here too, because putting out signs is not just about the direction, but it absolutely drives more traffic to your open house. And then the second thing that it does, and I think this is probably one of the more important things that it does, is that you're able to brand yourself in the community that you're doing the open house. Right? How many of you guys have done an open house on a same house over maybe 2 or 3 weekends? Right? So in those 2 or 3 weekends, that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday that you're doing the open house and you're putting 30 signs out there, signs out for your open house, and people are seeing your name, your logo. Would you agree that that's something valuable when it comes to, oh, this person knows what they're doing? How many of you guys ever done open houses and you go to a busy corner and there's like 8 signs out from all different agents? Yeah. So one of the best ways to make yourself stand out is that instead of you putting 1 sign out like everybody else is doing, what if you put out 9, 10 signs out in that one corner? When a buyer is driving through who is interested in going to an open house, whose open house do you think they're gonna go to first?
Most convenient. Brian's.
The one with the most signs out there, right? We got a lot of answers there, yeah. We're gonna get there. Yeah, the one with the most signs out. And you're branding yourself at the same time. I can't tell you how many times I have past clients come up to me and say, Brian, you're everywhere, right? And then in fact, when John would tell me this story all the time, when he first started in the industry, I don't know, like 70 years ago. I don't know how old John is.
75.
75 years ago, whatever it is. He would have clients come up to him because he would do open houses every weekend. He'd put the signs out and they would say, John, I don't know how you have so many listings. It's like you have 18 or 20 different listings on market and components. But you see how the value of the signs are there, right? Because it's there so that you can drive more traffic in, you're branding yourself, and you're making yourself stand out amongst your competition. Michelle,
And I wouldn't be me if I didn't chime in right here.
that's okay. Chime in.
Okay, so different cities have different rules.
Yes.
Tracy, California,
That's your.
5 signs and that's it. And I think it's 4 signs and that's it. They will actually pick up your signs and you'll have to pay for them
Yeah.
at the city. They actually put, thank God it wasn't a KW, because I was so afraid to look at this newspaper. And they passed around the associations with a picture of somebody's sign on the front page of the Tracy Press.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not fun.
Leslie and I had an issue with the 55 and older community up in
Yeah.
Be
Rolesville.
really
Yeah.
careful.
and in Sun City, they took my signs out, I put like,
Yes.
I remember I put like 30 signs out in my open house in Lincoln. They took all my signs out, and so you gotta obviously do your due diligence to figure out what community you're doing your open house of, and then figure out what amount of open house signs you can put out. Now, with that being said, if you're in the Thomas neighborhood, put out as many signs as you can, right? Jose?
So I'm a big supporting on open house signs. I'm totally with you, 15 to 20 signs minimum. Why? Because at open houses, we get 3 pools. 1 who has agents, 2 those neighbors, and 3 those who are unaccounted for, but they found your sign. And guess what? That's your opportunity to pick up a lead.
Absolutely. Rich?
Pick up on this. The number one thing for an open house, what are you trying to earn?
Leads.
Trying to earn leads, earn business, right? Do you think there are sellers that live in that neighborhood? Do you think they're gonna interview you? You're already being interviewed by those nosy neighbors, because they're going to look at your sign placement. They're gonna notice how you show up at that open house,
Absolutely.
and they're gonna fire you on the spot without you even knowing.
Yeah.
So pay attention to your signage, how you're showing up, what you're wearing, and how you're speaking,
Yeah, yeah.
right? People wanna sell it, I'm not gonna take away from the start.
No, you're good, you're good. No, finish your thought.
Yeah, they're interviewing on the spot, you don't even know. They
Absolutely.
can say, oh yeah, I just live in the neighborhood, why are you coming to open house?
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. And you have Jose, you have Rich, you have Michelle, you have John, there's so many people that can give you value on how to do these open houses correct, right? Let me tell you a story about the signs real quick. Back in November, we had a listing in South Thomas. And it was one of those crazy days where you're showing properties in the morning, and then you're doing the open house, and you have the buyers come in right after your open house. So I said, okay, I just don't have the time to put all my signs up today, right? And I went and put out probably 10 signs, 10 or 12 signs is what I put out. That open house, I had 2 people come through my open house. Okay, which is like, okay, cool, I got somebody to come through. The next day, same open house, I said, you know what? I have a crazy schedule because I go to church every Sunday, right? Church, and then I'm gonna get my signs out in my open house, but I'm gonna make sure, because I wasn't happy or wasn't content with the amount of people that came through. And I wanted to, of course, squeeze every little bit of my time in this open house. I put out 30 signs the very next day. The difference was from 2 to about 12 people coming through. 2 to 12 people coming through. And that's 12 people that you're signing into your open house, okay? And for those of you guys who are newer agents as well, I forgot to tell you guys about this portion of it. When I first started out, I got licensed in October of 2013 is when I got my real estate license. I was doing open houses every weekend, just Saturdays, just every weekend. And you know, there's a point where you get to in your business, especially if you are a brand new agent, where you're like, I don't think this is working, right? Because I've done so many open houses and nothing has panned out, right? 2 months later, after doing open houses consistently, I got my first 2 clients on the same weekend, and it was hilarious. What was so funny about it was I was gonna cancel that open house. Because I was like, this isn't working, I'd rather just stay home and watch playoff football, right? It was after church, okay? And then I got a year full from the listing agent, I was young, remember? So I got a year full from the listing agent, they came up to me and says, hey, you committed to this, you need to do it. Which is completely fair, because I was like calling to say, hey, I don't think I can make it. It's like, no, you're gonna be there. I showed up and ended up selling the house that I was doing the open house in. And then met a cash buyer who purchased here in Holmes Park. Both those clients, I've done a total of 7 transactions between those 2 clients. Because I just showed up, right? So if you're not doing open houses and you're like, I want the now business, I need the business now, consistently do them because you open yourself up to these opportunities, okay? The second mistake that I've done was not signing in every guest that came through. part of me not asking for people, I think if I'm looking back hindsight, I was fearful of rejection. Or maybe I felt like I was a burden asking them for their information, or that awkwardness sometimes that you feel. So what I would do is I would go there and I would try to work so hard to try to build that rapport so that I could try to ask for their contact information. And the thing that doesn't work there is that when you're spending so much time building rapport, they need to rush out, or you have more people coming through, right? And you're not able to maybe get their information. So you're like missing out on these opportunities just because you're trying so hard to build a rapport, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, but at the same time, you want to make sure you have all of your guests sign in upfront. Don't wait till they're trying to leave, because when they're leaving and then you ask them, oh, can I get your information? It typically doesn't work out. So this is what I do now. When a guest comes into my open house, I greet them, I say, hey, how you doing? My name is Brian J. with the Eternity Group. Welcome to the open house. My first question that I ask each person that comes through is, what brings you into the open house today? Like, what is your reason behind coming in? And some people will say, I'm just looking around, I'm doing A, B, and C, I'm looking to purchase a home. I have a house down the street and I was just curious. And he said, oh, great, let me give you some information about this house. So you give them the flyer, so you're handing them something of value, some information. And you say, this home is a 3-bedroom. I say, this home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,400 square foot. We just came on the market this past Thursday. The sellers are moving because of A, B, and C, and that's why we have a home on the market. And then they go, oh, thank you. And then you ask for, and then you say, hey, can I get you to sign into my open house? Or you say, let's get you to sign into the open house. And what I found is that when you, just by asking, most people aren't gonna say. Okay, now you do run into those cases where people are hesitant to give you their information. I was doing an open house out in the Curtis Park area, and a couple came in, and I asked them to sign in, and they said, hey, I don't want to sign into the open house. I said, okay, that's fine. And that's when you start asking these questions. What are some of your concerns about signing into the open house? And then they say, well, I've signed into my open house and I've gotten, phone calls and emails that I don't want, and blah, 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 right? They're all the reasons why they don't want to sign into your open house, right? And then you ask, and then you dig into it a little more. It says, okay, so it sounds like those things aren't valuable to you. And they'll say, yes, it's not. What are things that you want to receive in your inbox? By asking these questions, you're driving them to come in so that you could continue to know what they need and then be able to give them value of what they need. My coach always says this. He says there's a golden rule, which is to treat others like you want to be treated, and there's a platinum rule, which is to treat others how they want to be treated. And by asking these questions, you come to realize what they are needing or what is valuable to them, and then you offer that, right? Some of them might be, hey, you're talking, you're building rapport, and they say, you know what, there's just not a lot of inventory on the market right now. Would you guys agree there's not a lot of inventory on the market right now?
Yeah.
And then you come with a value. Hey, did you know that our office has over 300 agents that are in the office here? Out of those 300 agents, we have some big top producing agents who continues to put up new inventory in the market. Now, with that being said, if I was to maybe bring you an off-market transaction, would that be something that's valuable to you? Nobody's gonna say no to that, especially if they're in the market to look for homes, right? So by bringing value, you're able to get those people that are maybe hesitant to sign into your open house for you to get into their open house. And here's what I mean also by signing in every guest that comes through, okay? Couple of things we're gonna go up. I think our next one is gonna be the follow-up. After I do the open house, I make sure I send a text message out to everybody using a smartphone. Just saying, hey, nice to meet you. And then I'm following up regularly. Sometimes they don't get back to you, right? You ever have those ones where you're doing open house where like, wow, we hit it off and then they just ghosted you, right? And with the systems of putting them into your monthly neighbor nurture, putting them in your quarterly call, doing your regular check-ins with them, you're able to potentially down the road, convert that lead, right? That's why you sign everybody in, even if those who may not feel like are interested in any of your services, you still sign them in because you have the opportunity to potentially earn their business down the road. Banfield was the same thing, right? Banfield, the seller was like, hey, Brian, I'm not really looking to make any real estate moves right now. And then a month later, like, hey, Brian, actually, you know, if you could bring me a buyer off market, I might be interested. In January, I had it listed on the market and we're in contract after the first weekend. That's it.
What would you say when you get me sign in, what's your comment of follow-up? Do you follow up?
Immediately after the open house is done.
So after that, is it once a week, twice a week, once a month?
Yeah, so I'll go through the follow-up right afterwards. But quickly to answer your question, I follow up with them every day for 7 days straight. Yeah. Okay. Any questions for me? What questions do you guys have of this so far?
If you have a group coming in at the same time, would you do like a group presentation where you hand them the flyer, as you mentioned?
Yeah,
And then also, you know, give them the particulars and then say, hey, if you take a minute, we'd like to have you sign in.
absolutely. So what I'll do is I have 2 or 3 groups that come in at the same time. You just say, hey, my name's Brian, you know, the listing agent here at ABC Main Street or 123 Main Street. Give each of the clients or the potential leads the flyer. And then you say, let's get you guys to sign in to the open house. And again, most people are not gonna say no to you, right? And let's just say they say no and you don't get their contact information. What do you lose? Like, what do you lose? Like, if they say no and they're like very adamant about them not signing in, and you're like, okay, that's fine, don't sign it, right? You don't lose anything. My biggest thing here is have them sign in, ask them to sign in. Because you're there to get leads, you're not there to just keep the door open. Again, it comes back to know what your time is worth, you're not just there to hang out at this house, okay? You're not there to just, you know, get quiet hours or whatever, you're there to get leads. And this is a way that you get leads, you have to sign into your own house. Okay? Couple things that, why it also is really important to sign in, even though it may not seem like somebody that might work out. I had a potential buyer that came through my open house in Canberra, and she was like, I don't want to sign in, right? So I was like, hey, we do this because the sellers are requesting, I want to make sure that I keep track of everybody else coming through, right? And as I'm having these conversations with them, she gives me finally her number, said, I'm not giving you my email. I'm like, no problem. Take a look around and I continue to have conversations with her. As I'm calling, text messages, follow up. Monday, Tuesday morning, I give that same phone number a call. And the phone number was like a Tom or something, right? I'm like, oh, that's not this person that said she just gave the wrong number. I'm like, you little turd. And I'm like, okay, whatever, it's all good. I'm just gonna keep moving on. Anyways, I get a phone call back from that same number saying, hey, I got this call from this number and I just want to return the call back. It was a 415 San Francisco number, just random, right? Tom, nobody that I ever met. Well, it turns out as I was talking with them, I asked them the question, oh, sorry, it looks like this person gave me the wrong number. What, you know, are you interested in making any real estate moves in 2024? And he says, well, I do have a fourplex in Midtown that I'm potentially looking to let go. And then obviously from there, you said, well, let me provide some value, right? I could run the comps for you, I could tell you what your home is worth, I could do a equity evaluation. And by me saying and pressing a little bit more and saying, hey, could I get your information? Now I have this potential Midtown fourplex that could be a listing for me down the road or for an investor plan, right? So happy will sign in. Happy will sign in because the worst thing is if they say no, that's okay because you move on to the next person. Okay. The next, keep forgetting that there's a TV right there. The next thing is not setting the appointment while you are in the open house. I can't tell you countless times of people that came in that were interested in interested in my services of purchasing or selling a home. And because I didn't set the appointment at that time, I didn't end up getting the deal. So don't wait till Monday. Okay, don't get all your open house done and then we gotta follow up on Monday. follow up on Monday, okay, but don't say I'm gonna call just on Monday to set that appointment. What I do is, one of the things that I've learned to do is I have my appointment goals. And every weekend I go into my open house saying, I intend to set 4 appointments from this open house this weekend. Okay, when you come in with the goal, you come in with a little bit more of the intentionality, you find yourself trying to push for that appointment a little bit more. So, one of the things that I've learned to do is I would ask them this question, okay, so what are you looking for in a house? Right, what is an ideal home for you? And typically they'll sit there and they'll say, okay, well, Brian, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,500 square foot home in Thomas Park that's under 550,000. And then you say, oh, okay, got it. Okay, why is that important to you? What makes having a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom Thomas Park important to you? And I would say, oh, because my kids go to Thomas Park. I want to be part of the clubhouse, A, B, and C. This is why it's important for me to be in this place. And the closure that I have that I've been converting appointments with in these open houses is if I was to find A, B, and C, right? If I was to find homes that we just discussed within the criteria that you want, would you be completely against us setting up a time to go view some of these homes together or to go tour these homes together? And the key thing there is completely against. Okay, the reason why that's so important is that your leads or prospects that are coming in, most people aren't completely against anything. So if you go and you say, are you completely against setting up a time for us to meet? I know it sounds aggressive, right? And I'm telling you, this is how you set the appointments. You say, are you completely against us setting up a time? And if they say, I'm not completely against it, then that's when you go, I'm available Tuesdays and Thursday afternoon. I'm available Tuesdays and Thursday afternoon, right? You're just helping them move forward in the conversation so that you could set that appointment and then be able to check in. And now your phone call, follow-up call isn't, oh, this is Brian. I just wanted to see what you thought of this open house. Your follow-up calls are now, hey, this is Brian. I want you to know I did A, B, and C for you to set up in preparation for our appointment on Tuesday, right? Now you're coming from a place of being proactive and being value to what those buyers are needing or the sellers are needing, right? And because you're setting the appointment while you have them in front of you, you're able to convert now, you're able to create more appointments. Now, I will say, I'm getting about 40% conversion on those appointments, okay? Where they're actually showing up to the open appointments, okay? But that's 40% that I could potentially convert into new listings and new buyers, right? And by saying this is what will happen next, okay, this is like a keyword, okay? This is what's gonna happen next, is I'm going to send you a list of properties. I'm gonna say, these are the homes that I'm gonna line up for us to view, and then we're gonna go out and take a look at them. Like, don't leave things like up in the air. Because a lot of these people that are coming in, they have no idea what's next, because they've maybe not ever gone through the process. So by you making the assumption that they know what's gonna happen next, you lose that potential of the follow-up, or you lose that lead, right? But by providing value and giving them direction and steps to take, you're able to provide the value to, of course, convert that lead to higher level. Right? What questions do you guys have for me?
I don't have a question, I just like the fact how your word usage.
Yeah,
That's very, very important because you're giving an option, but you're not saying, hey, you're gonna buy, but would you be against?
yeah,
I think that's perfect.
absolutely, absolutely. So, how many of you guys have open house scheduled this weekend? No open house scheduled? Yes. Yeah, I guess that's why we're in this spot.
Not yet.
We have some listings that are coming up, so if you guys are looking for open house opportunities, I have some for you guys, okay? So set the appointment while you are at the open house.
What would you say, and when you say meeting the appointment, putting value to meeting the appointment? Do you pick them up, or do you prefer to meet them there, or how do you manage to?
I'm sorry, what was,
Do
can you,
you pick them up to take them to view the properties, or do they meet you at the property? How do you view that?
yeah, no, that's a great question. I typically say, hey, let's meet at 123 Main Street. And then meet them there. And what I'll do is that I'll set the appointment, okay, to meet whatever, right, because your value that you're bringing, they're there because they wanna look at houses, right? That's why they're walking into your houses. So the value isn't, hey, come to my office so that I could sit you down and do this hour-long buyer council, because most buyers have no interest in that, right? You say, hey, let me meet you, give you what you want, and show you more houses in this neighborhood. Okay, and as you're sitting there and you're showing them 2, 3 houses, that's when you set the appointment for them to come in so that you can get them to sign your buyer's broker agreement. Right, so you say, hey, this is the value, I'm gonna come in and you know that I'm a proactive agent who's gonna help you look for homes, not just send you an email. I'm gonna set the appointments from you so that I could do all the heavy lifting for you. Right, and then once we are there, okay, we say, okay, appointment set for Tuesday afternoon. You meet them at Tuesday afternoon, and then you set the appointment for them to come into your office the day after. Okay, whenever you're done with an appointment, never leave without having a follow-up or a check-in for the next time you're gonna touch bases with them. Right, so if you're there, it doesn't matter if you're online, if you're going on a listing appointment, you say, hey, I'm gonna set the appointment, I'm gonna give you a call on Thursday. Right, and that's the appointment that you set. And you're leading them, continuing them through the process, right? So that they're not ever stuck, not knowing what's gonna happen next, right? So for me, it would be, hey, come in, let's take a look at A, B, and C homes, I'll line them up for you, do all the heavy lifting. Come in, okay, meet them after you're done. My next appointment is, hey, I'm gonna set you up with one of my loan contacts. Okay, let's plan to sit down and I want to go over the buying process in detail with you and what our team can offer to help you win in this real estate search. And then from there, you set another appointment, which is to go see more houses after these.
I hope you guys are writing this all down. These are great scripts,
Okay,
great scripts.
So it's great when Brian just gave an outstanding example. What do buyers want? Homes.
Yeah.
And that's what he leads on, and then he goes for the rest from there. So I mean,
absolutely,
perfect example.
yeah, absolutely.
So good.
Right.
How do you handle when you run into showing them a house that they then are not pre-approved for?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, and the reason why it doesn't matter is I treat my open house leads as I treat them as my online leads. Okay, your goal is to get in front of them so that you can set that next appointment for them. Right, and what you find is that if you're only showing property, especially to those leads who don't necessarily know you, right? And you say, I'm not gonna show you this house until you get pre-approved, the chances of you being able to get in front of them decreases. And as you continue to show up and you're like building rapport with these people and they fall in love with you and the service that you provide, then you say, let's walk you through the pre-approval process.
You don't find that if you were to show them a $700,000 house, they're only pre-approved at 600 or less. How do you work around that possible discouragement of those buyers?
You say, hey, this is what the budget is, these are the inventory that's on the market, and that's what you're approved for, right? And then you go back to their big why, right? Which is, hey, why are you purchasing? What got you thinking of purchasing, right? And again, the idea is to convert your open house leads, right? So if you're getting in front of them, you're in a position where you're able to get them to set that next appointment with you, right? So that's the whole, right? So right now, you're not necessarily worried about the pre-approval. You're worried about getting this lead converted and having them sign your buyer's broker, and then you work on the pre-approval afterwards. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Have you run into a situation where they've already worked with us, or they already have like a signed agreement, and how do you handle that?
Okay, so if they have a signed agreement, then obviously you can't work with those buyers, right? And if they have signed an agreement with another agent, typically they'll let you know that they're working with another agent, right? So, I mean, obviously use discernment in that, because you don't want to be running around with the buyer that has a, buyer broker. And you could, in your meeting with them, you could ask them, hey, have you signed an agreement with another agent? Right, and be upfront and pre-screen them. Yeah,
Then you start working with them, do you get the buyer broker signed
absolutely.
with all of them?
Absolutely, and here's the thing, it goes back to that mindset as well, okay? You are providing your time, your resources, your energy, right, your knowledge. If you're providing these things, would you agree that it's fair for them to sign a buyer broker agreement with you? I think so, right? I can't tell you how many times that I've worked with a buyer, gave them all my knowledge agreement, and then they go to an open house and buys from listing agreement, or listing agent. Right? Now, if you were to be direct and say, hey, this is what my time is worth, I need you to commit for us to continue to pursue our relationship, right? Then obviously you're gonna be able to get them to sign. But it is absolutely important that you sign the buyer broker. Okay.
I like, because the whole time you've been talking, you're talking about the value you're giving to them,
Mm-hmm.
so you're earning the commitment. So
Absolutely.
we're saying, hey, sign this agreement, because like you said, they can go with somebody else, but the value you're proposing to them the whole entire time is what gains the commitment.
Absolutely, absolutely. So your time is worth something, guys, right? Don't just give it away. Don't just give it away. All right. What questions? Oh, one more.
Sorry, just one more.
That's okay.
So have you run into a situation where you provide all this value to them and at the end they just don't wanna sign, or they're just,
You just forget, so,
they're really forget that they just don't wanna sign, or they wanna think about it first before.
Yeah, absolutely. And that comes to obviously that conversion. Obviously, you're not gonna be able to sign every buyer, right? And here's another thing that I've learned that my coaches really helped me kind of with my mindset on this, is that if you're looking at it as a business, in a sense that you're not, because what happened to me is I would be on my highs and I would be on my lows because I was signing an agent, and then I find that, a buyer decide to move forward with her cousin or something, right? And I'll be so low, I'll be like, that's a big bummer, right? And if you come at it as perspective, it's like, hey, this is literally a numbers thing, okay? If I have X amount of leads that are coming in, and I know that I'm gonna convert 30%, 40%, whatever it is, right? And if you view it from that perspective, when a buyer says, I don't wanna work with you, you just move on to the next buyer, right? Now, the goal is to bring that lead up, right? So that you're not so low on your lows, right? But you want to make sure you're viewing it in a way that is like your business minded. So I know that all the appointments that I set, I know that maybe only 4 of them, if I set 10 appointments, no 4 of them are gonna show up. And from that 4, I know that I'm gonna convert 2, right? Or 3, I think my conversion rate is like 75%, right? So I'm gonna convert 3 of those appointments into clients or have them sign an agreement. Now, if I don't get down with that one that doesn't sign with me anymore, but say I understand, and I get them into the monthly follow-up, and I continue to provide value. I continue to set the appointment, right? And then as they see the value, while Brian is doing A, B, and C, they're gonna feel that much better about signing that agreement.
is there a time frame, a date or something that kind of ties in the starting point to however many, a month or 2 or so that you've been?
Like, every buyer is a little different. Oh, are you talking about my agreement? It really depends on what the buyer's timeline looks like, right? So if they're like, hey, I'm looking to, buy something, I lock them up, I put in an agreement that sets out 120 days for us to look at.
So that's time.
Okay,
Michelle?
I'm gonna go to Zoom land now,
Okay.
okay? So let's do this. Well, Jamie Smith says she has 2 open houses this weekend. She wanted to share that, so that's exciting. Great job. Yay. Brian Mason needs an open house for either Friday or Saturday. Brian, I suggest you emailing Brian.
Yep.
Okay. Star, once you receive the lead gens from your open house, how often do you send them emails, calls, texts? If they're not responding or responding infrequently, any
Yeah.
suggestions?
That's a great question. So let's move on to our next one, which is. Remote's not working.
Okay, hang on. Go ahead.
All right, my 5th mistake was that follow-up. I would go in and do open houses all weekend, and then I would get maybe 15 contacts, and then I would say, I'm gonna follow up with them on Monday, and then I end up not following up with them until Thursday. All that time that you don't have and you're not following up, think about if a potential client or prospect comes into your open house, think about how many more open houses that you're going into. And if you have an agent that's continuing to follow up with them, who are they gonna work with? Right? So for me, it was like I would go in and do these open houses, and then I let the busyness of my work, right, working in the business, keep me from calling these properties, whether it be an inspection or showing properties, whatever it is, it kept me from following up and checking in with these clients to convert them into appointments, okay? So this is what I do, okay? After the open house is done, okay, again, I put them all on a smart plan. The smart plan that I put them on is going to be the monthly neighborhood nurture. Okay, I put them on the monthly quarterly calls, okay, or the quarterly calls, sorry. And then I put them on a smart on text message smart plan where it sends a message out to everybody that came in for the open house saying, hey, pleasure meeting you. If you need any real estate needs, just want you to know that I'm available for you. Okay, and then come Monday, I'm following up, checking in and calling every lead up to about 7 days. Okay, and then obviously if there's clients that, or if there's people there that are a little bit more like urgent, then you set that appointment, okay? And I call them every day. If they don't call back or if they ghost you or whatever it is, okay, then you put them on the monthly nurture plan and then you call them every quarter, right? And the idea of these open houses is that you're trying to build your database, right? You're trying to get as many leads in there because those leads could potentially become clients down the road, right? And you continue to provide value with the information that you send them, whether it be your monthly neighborhood nurture or a market analysis on their home or a list of some great properties that might fit within the criteria of home. I just had a appointment with a buyer that I met 7 months ago that didn't take my call immediately after the open house. I called him and he's looking to purchase an investment property, right? He said, I don't know how to do an investment property with the market being so high. So I said, well, come on in, let's sit down and let's do a buyer strategy together so that we can make your goal of an investment property a reality, right? Brought them in, got them to sign the buyer's broker agreement. Right, so what I'm saying is that even if they don't pan out right now, your job isn't again to say, this person didn't pan out and get so caught up with that. Your job is to continue to check in with them, right? You put the work in and eventually you're gonna reap the fruit. Okay,
You're saying you call every day for 7 days.
yes,
You're calling those people every day who are not picking up the call.
They're not
That's
picking up
where
the call.
you're trying.
I'm calling, texting, and I'm emailing. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because again, sometimes like you don't want to be that person. I think this is like a mindset thing for me too. It's like I don't want to be that person that's like continue to call you and because you have those people that and you're like, I can't believe this person's calling again, right? And if you come from a place where you say, well, actually I have a lot of value that I can give to this potential buyer or this potential seller, right? You go back and your mindset is like, man, if I want to give you this value, that's why I'm calling you, right? Then it's a different kind of mindset. It doesn't feel like you're trying to chase someone, right? Now it feels like you're trying to give something that's valuable to them. Like I think about lesson.
I was just gonna add, when you shop on Wayfair, Johnson, Maine, Costco, Amazon, they're always texting us, right?
Yeah.
We're not buying right now, but we may be buying in 3 weeks,
Absolutely.
a month. So I don't look at that as bugging me. I'm like, hey, you're sending me stuff that I mean, with AI, right? Everything that I want to buy, that we should buying now. We have children, we've got jobs, we've got other family members, we've got pets. We have a lot going on in our life. When we reach out to a client or potential client, we're maybe 2 minutes of their day, but they remember that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's coming from us that we feel like we're bugging them and then we're begging for business. That is usually not how they're responding. That's our limiting belief.
Absolutely.
So just remember Amazon, when you reach out to people, we get bombarded by them, but we're still buying from them.
Absolutely, right, that's such a good point. And again, I think about Brian at the age of 21, just getting into the real estate business, right? And I think about me at 32 years old, right? Coming back, like I would say, man, Brian, if I could travel back in time, and I say, hey, if you did this, you would fast track, your success to maybe 3 years instead of 10 years, right? And I think about like how urgent I would be in telling the younger Brian, hey, go buy 4 or 5 properties, right? Because like I know you want to buy your, road bikes and whatever it is, right? I know you want to go on your vacations or whatever it is, but save that money because I want you to buy real estate so that you could. There's like a message, and you're coming from a place of urgency because you know that you're bringing value to that person. And I think that's a key thing here is whatever you do, you're not just there begging for business and not expecting and just having people just give, pay, where you're trying to give, and then the more you give, what you find is that people are gonna. Right, so don't worry so much about the results, worry more about, put your effort into, the everyday things, right, and do those well. Okay?
I love it because you're showing your systems and models.
Mhm.
And as we know in this business, you need to have your systems and models inputted, so you have your follow-up.
Absolutely.
So regarding your text messaging that same day, do you have a template that you have saved that you
Yes.
just? Okay,
I have it on my smart plan. So I created a smart plan on command. So use command if you guys, a CRM,
Is it under your name?
what is?
Cause you can go to the command library, I can look your name up from Smart.
I don't know. I don't know if it's published like that.
Yeah, I think you have to share it or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's shared, and it's literally, it's such a simple text message. It just says, hey, nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Brian, again, we met at ABNC, whatever, open house. And I just want you to know that I'm available for you if you need it. Right? It's just a way for you to text them and they say, oh, yeah. So when they go to 7 or 8 open houses, but they're only getting a text message from you, again, that's where you see and you're showing up in a way where you say, I'm here and I'm proactive. Right? So it's a super simple text message. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Just stay in touch and make the touches with the contacts. Okay. Last slide here is going to be some additional tips for you guys. One of the things that I would do when I was a newer agent is every buyer or every prospect that came in, I would ask the question, are you working with an agent? Okay. I've come to learn that everybody's working with an agent, or they'll think of somebody that is their agent. So what I'm learning to do is stop asking if they're working with an agent. Okay, not because you're out there being slimy and trying to take business away from other people. And if you're creating a way for them to get out from having conversations with you, 9 out of 10 times, they're gonna wanna not have that conversation with you. So why shut yourself out by asking this question up front? Right? I don't go and I say, hey, welcome to my open house, are you working with an agent? Right? Because if they say, yes, I'm working with an agent, then you still continue to pursue that. Now you look like a person that's slimy trying to get somebody's business. Okay, when I have this conversation, when somebody comes in, I continue to have this conversation. I say, this is what I can do for you and build that rapport, and then let them tell you that they're working with an agent. And then you could ask, okay, awesome. I'm glad you're working with an agent. What do you like about your real estate agent? What do you not like about your real estate agent? Why are they not here with you? Right? So these are the things that you could be asking, and then not, again, you're not trying to take anybody's business away. Yet what I've found is that a lot of times these agents, they go and they meet somebody online and they don't get a lot of value from this agent. They'll still tell you, yeah, I'm working with an agent, and if you shut yourself out, oh, you're working with an agent. But if you press a little bit more, sometimes you can unfold, actually this person's not very happy with their real estate agent and they're looking for new representation. And then you say, well, come to my office, let's set up a time, I'd love to show you what we can do to help you accomplish your goals. Also, pass out flyers before your open houses, market your open houses. This is another way, a big way that you could keep your brand, your name in the community, right? If you have multiple platforms, like multiple CRMs, there's an app called Zapier that is a Google Sheet where you input the information in and it shoots it out to all your CRMs. Okay, so if you have like your command set up, and then you have, let's just say, HomeBot that's set up from your loan officer, and you want your contacts to go to both places, instead of you taking it down on notes and then like inputting it here and then inputting there, you input it onto Zapier, and then they'll shoot out to those different boxes.
Okay, spell that one again.
Zapier. And it's a Google Sheet that you literally put the information. Okay?
I like how you gave an example of how, you're continuing, you're not pressuring it, but you're moving forward on the conversation. Because a lot of people, yeah, they come to open house, they don't know you from the next agent, they may say they have an agent, that is, like you said, you don't stop. How can you continue to be of value? Because once they get to know you, then they're gonna open up, actually, I may not have an agent.
Yeah.
Or you know what, I'm happy with my agent, could be talking.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Also be professional when you guys are at these open houses. I can't tell you countless times that I've gone to open houses with my clients and you have agents that are hosting it, that literally you could tell that they put zero effort in, they just put one sign in the front. Be professional and they'll show up as a, you know, as a professional, okay? And then also get back to the basics, right? So much of this business is about getting in front of people and meeting as many people. It's not a complicated business. It is a hard business, right? And notice the more people that you get in front of, the more opportunities you're gonna be able to have to convert them into being your clients in the transaction. Okay, so don't get so caught up with one person, meet as many per person as possible and continue to show your value in what you do for your clients. Cool. What questions do you guys have for me?
I have a question.
Okay,
In one of the tips you said you were talking about booking the appointment.
yes.
When you're booking the appointment, it sounds to me like you're not trying to book the buyer's consultation appointment. You're just trying to show them house. Is that correct?
And yes, absolutely. I treat my open house leads as if they are my online leads. Okay, what I mean by that is when you go and get a call from your online leads, they don't wanna sit there and have you ask all these questions to them. Okay, they don't wanna sit there and say, they don't wanna sit there and listen to you saying, hey, what's your big why, you know, going into this, those things are all valuable, okay? It's just not the right timing for it, okay? My goal when I'm in the open house, I wanna set the next appointment so that I can set them the next appointment for them to come in and sign my buyer's agreement, right?
Got it.
Yeah, so you wanna give them what they're looking for, which is homes in this case, that's why they're in there touring your homes. But they have a problem, which is they wanna buy a house, and you're there to solve that solution by offering what you could bring to the table. And then in that next meeting, you either do the buyer consultation there or you bring them into your office. Does that make sense? So you go, you set the
Yeah,
appointment,
it's just everything that I've been taught is different than that.
okay, so you
We
go
wanna
in.
Start with the buyer's consultation and then we wanna sell house.
So if I have a buyer that comes in and it's a referral, I have them come in and we do a buyer consultation. If it's somebody that I don't know, I don't have a relationship with, I provide my thing first and I earn the right to get there with a buyer consultation.
Okay.
Right, because again, think about how many leads that you could be losing by saying, I need you to come to my office. Okay, it's not that they don't want to work with you, it's just that they don't see the value in sitting down with you just yet. And if you show up and you provide the value up front, which is what they want, and then you set the next appointment, which is for them to come into your office and sign the buyer report. Right, your goal is to definitely get that agreement signed, okay? I'm not taking away from that, it's just.
I just wanted to make sure I understand so I can talk to my team.
Absolutely, it's just right there is not the time to have them come in for you to do a hour and a half consultation meeting for them to come in and sign the agreement.
It kind of follows the saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So you just figure out which way is working for you and you.
Absolutely, and I will also say this too, there's some people that you talk to and they would rather come in and have a conversation with you rather than going and looking at more houses. Right, so again, the goal is to just set that next point.
I have a friend in Folsom who does the Zillow, they're a Zillow Premier agent, and that's their approach.
Yeah.
She told me flat out, they
Yeah.
meet them at the house, they show them the house, and then they go to the house.
Exactly, and again, I treat my open house leads when I'm setting the appointment that day as if they are my online leads. Right, because they're people that don't know you, right, they don't have any relationship with you, right, so you wanna continue to provide that value. But
And it kind of goes back to what do buyers want?
City property.
Homes, exactly.
yeah,
I like the proactive approach. I haven't done that. I'm more on the, hey, come meet with me so we can make sure your goals are aligned.
Pre-military.
And make sure we're
Yeah.
moving in the right direction. I see
Absolutely.
a lot of benefits from talking with you guys on here. It's
Yeah.
letting me see how you operate.
Yeah.
I think there's proofs of good.
Yeah.
Right? There's multiple
Absolutely.
ways to skin a cat.
Mhm.
If you have a mindset set up on one thing and somebody else is also successful, give it a shot.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely.
Right, that's what they do.
I have a question.
Right. I'm all about that.
Good point, Rich.
Yep, hey Lindsay.
Hi, the 7 days, what are each day, what are you contacting them about?
Can you repeat that one more time?
For your 7 days in a row of contacting them, what are you contacting them about?
It depends on what the conversation looked like at the open house, right? So if I come into contact with the buyer and say, hey, I'm interested in purchasing a home, then I'll say, my first phone call on Monday would be, hey, Mary, thank you, it was a pleasure meeting you at my open house. I want you to know that I sent you a list of properties as promised. Second day I'm calling, hey, Mary, just want to call in, just check in, is there anything of this house that's of interest to you? Third, hey, Mary, I want to just check in and say, hey, do you want to schedule time to go and view some of these houses? So I'm just continuing to check in with them and say, hey, this is the value, and I keep saying the buffer value. If there's one thing that you take away from thinking about that word, I keep trying to provide value to the buyers so that they come and set that appointment with me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so somebody asked me what your history is with Keller Williams, how long you've been here?
Yeah.
Where were you before, and yeah, just go
Yeah,
through all that.
absolutely. So I've been with KW since 2019. Before that, I was with EXP for 10 short months. And then before that, we were with a local brokerage here called Fusion Real Estate Network. And they decided to become, I think, more of the real estate marketing. I'm not sure exactly what direction they went. But when they decided to not become a broker anymore, we went with EXP for 10 short months. And then going on with KW. So, and then also my history with KW a little bit here too. My business was really it was like very slow growing business. Again, first year I closed 6, second year I closed 4, and then third year I closed, 7, maybe 8. It was just like one of those really slow growing career. And my career skyrocketed when I joined KW. I was sitting here with John Bernardo on a 6 perspective class. And he asked a question to me, what would it mean if you don't grow your business? If you stay the same? And I realized that's not what I wanted for myself. And I took bold, and I did bold again. I hired a coach, and my business has skyrocketed because of it.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
We have a question on Zoom. What courses or trainings did you take that helped you with your business?
Bold. Yeah, absolutely. I would highly recommend Bold. I've also hired a coach, a MAPS coach, who keeps me accountable every week. He goes by the name of David Bernal, and he was actually my Bold coach. It was so good. I'm like, I need to keep talking to this guy. Yeah, so coaching and then Bold would be highly recommended.
And then you're taking what, because I know you personally have a list of classes you're gonna be taking.
Yeah, so we're gonna do the career visioning class, and then train the presenter.
Yeah. So it's good to share, you are who you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
And now you've actually pushed your ceiling a little bit in this last year, right? To make sure you have a coach.
Yeah.
And your team has been amazingly supportive as well.
Absolutely.
So there is a difference.
Yeah.
When you make sure you have a coach, and you
Absolutely.
surround yourself with the right people.
Absolutely.
But I do agree for the newer agents on that question. A lot of it comes down to time on task and actions and activity.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like you're a coach or something, right?
Right? Can I add to that accountability?
Yes,
And
accountability.
we have a group in our office on
Yes.
Mondays.
Yeah.
That I actually go to,
Talk
quite a
about
few of
it.
the agents do. We have an accountability group on Mondays, 2 to 2:30 on Zoom, and then once a month we do a mastermind. Highly recommend that. I go to that every week and it keeps me honest. I have like good weeks and I have not. good
She
weeks.
goes to that every week, and
Every
she's part of the top 20% in this office.
It-
What does that tell you?
Accountability is big.
Absolutely. And that's the whole thing with Bold too, right? Is that you're going in and you're saying, I'm gonna hit 20 contacts. I'm gonna do 100 contacts a week. I'm gonna set X amount, and then you have your people keeping you accountable towards that, right? So accountability is a gift, guys. Seek after it, because it's gonna be something that's gonna help you grow in your business. Compared
And
to
don't be afraid of it,
Don't be
Yeah.
afraid.
because you're standing in front of yourself for success,
Mhm.
all right? Again, that's another one of your non-negotiables, right?
Yeah.
That should be non-negotiable. I'm gonna hold myself accountable. I'm gonna find my coach. I'm gonna find another agent to hold me accountable, because you have a big why out there. And I know a lot of people in this office right here in this room have a big why, and I know what it is. So if you're not showing up, shame on you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So there you go, this is a mom
Love it. All right, guys, well, hopefully you guys were able to get one or two, some good information.
Ryan, you were amazing. Thank you.
What is Brian's email?
What is Ryan's?
It's Brian@eternityrealtyhomes.com.
Brian, I just want to express my gratitude by saying that I am so proud of you, my son.
Thanks, John.
The tables have turned, I'm learning from you now. And I would humbly accept that because Brian is not just tall,
He's the real
he
deal.
is also walking and flying to where he needs to be.
Appreciate that.
Thank
So-
you. KW
Yeah.
culture right here, I love it.
All right, guys, thank you guys for your.
Amazing.